So I will just copy this unit test case to save some time. And let me make some changes here. So I will using for each with collect, because we're going to use collect now, and also change the name of this with using only for each, using remove this only for each and collect. Okay. And we expect that this should not throw any exception anymore. So I will remove all this. Okay. Control Y. So we have got our RDD created. So I'll just copy this, my RDD for each. But before this for each is called, I will call collect. And let me change this. And after doing collect, I mean, you can see that this is giving me an exception, right? So because now it is not calling the Spark for each method, it will call Java for each method. So here I will use for each. Now this is a big difference. We can see this for each, which is called, this for each is from the Spark APIs. It is not using the Java API. As you can see, if I just hover it here, it's like Apache Spark.java.java RDD like, and this is defined in the Scala version of the Spark API. But here this for each, after we do the collect, now we are actually having a Java version of RDD after this collect. So I'll just hover over it. Again, it should give me for each that now we are calling this for each method from Java API, not from the Spark API. So this is a big difference here when we use collect here. So we have this. I think this should work, but I will also like to benchmark it. So let's do some benchmarking. So I will create an instant start and instant dot now. It's always good to like benchmark that how much time it takes, because the whole purpose of using Spark in the big data context is that how much time is it taking to consume, and whether it's any benefit to use Spark first of all. So I will now use final long time elapsed. Yeah, this is a pattern that you can also use for your other benchmarking. Instant is quite good. It's immutable and a very good API to be used for benchmarking. And so duration dot between, and duration between, and I will take start as start time and instant dot now. And maybe I will 2 millis. Okay. So what we are doing is that we just have a start time, then this is run, and after this we calculate the time elapsed by checking the duration between the start and the instant now after this has been run. So we'll have this new instant dot now, which is the end time, and then we convert it to the milliseconds, and we store it here in this variable. And let's simply print it out. So I'll print it out saying that, okay, Spark RDD printing all time taken. I will take the time taken and milliseconds, and then create some new line and pass this time elapsed. Okay. So we are just doing nothing special. We are just doing the benchmarking here. It means that it will now this my rdd.collect.foreach, it should print all the 20 elements there. I deliberately chose 20 because collect will try to like bring everything into the driver node, and I don't want any out of memory issues. But normally, I mean, our RDDs should be very, very huge. So be very careful when you are using this collect method, because it can cause a system crash on the driver node. Guys, let's revise what we have done in this unit test case. So we simply created an RDD using the parallelize method on the Spark context. And so here we are calling my rdd.foreach. This for each is from the Spark API, as we discussed. But here, once we call this collect method on this RDD, then we get a Java for each, which is after because what we return from this collect is it's giving me a Java object, and then we are calling this for each on that, and then we are printing it by using this consumer pattern. And we also alternatively we have added the benchmarking, where we are checking that how much time it takes to print to collect this RDD and print these 20 elements. So let's run this unit test now. Just click on run here. It's running now. So we expect that all those 20 random numbers should be put here between 47 to 146 something. We can see that all these 20 numbers are printed here as expected. So these are all random numbers between that range. And it took around 1515 milliseconds, which is around 1.5 seconds. Now, guys, as mentioned before that, we should not use collect that often because in 100% cases, RDD would be very huge. Because I'm just taking 20 elements here, so that's why it was all good. There was no memory crash or exception. So that's why it worked. But we should never use collect in the collect method on the RDD in the production code. Instead of that, we should use another method called as take method. So let's write the unit test case for using that take method, which will only take a few elements from that RDD as we specified in the argument of the take method. So let's write that test case now with the take and take.